Welcome to the Real Board Loft. I'm Trip Forman, and today we have with us Ricky Carroll of Ricky Carroll Surfboards, and we just got a delivery of boards in today. And while we have Ricky here on site, we want to talk about the Ricky Retro 2. Ricky, take over. Let us know a little bit about this board.
Okay, this board came from the Ricky Retro, which is my original Retro Series board, which is full-on nose rider.
Okay.
So people were asking for a similar board that they could handle easier, something that might turn a little easier. So I pulled in the nose, pulled in the tail. It's about 1/4 of an inch narrower than the Ricky Retro. It has a little more tail rocker, which allows the board to turn a little bit easier. A lot of lighter surfers, even girls, tend to like this better than the Ricky Retro, just easier to handle. Still a good nose rider, still a retro single fin board. It's just kind of an improvement on the Ricky Retro 1.
So, you know, a lot of the retro boards, you get a lot of momentum and you get good nose riding, but a lot of times they could be a little bit, you know, maybe challenging and
Right.
like in kind of punchy throw out kind of conditions. Does this board address that too?
Yes, for steeper conditions, it'll handle a little easier without the wider tail, something you can hold in a little better, a little less nose to get in the way, but still a nose rider.
And then, so when you're looking at this board, what, you know, what's helping the nose rider? You know, because there's different ways of making the board nose ride better. Like in the Retro 2, what are you doing on the board that's helping it nose ride better?
Well, the rocker first is a little flatter rocker, but still not a super retro straight rocker board. It's got a decent rocker for a nose rider. And also the tail, having the square tail, that holds the board and you can counterbalance by sinking the tail back in the whitewater, giving you a little more hold. I do another model called the Retro 3, which is just a pintail version of this, which turns a little easier, maybe handles a little bit bigger, steeper wave, but it doesn't nose ride as well.
So let's flip it around. Let's take a look at the bottom. Obviously, I'm assuming if it's anything retro, it's going to be single fin. But what about the rails going out the back? Is it a soft rail going all the way out the back?
It's a 50 going out, 50-50 pretty much going out the back. I have people request sometimes to put a little bit of edge back there for a little more hold, a little more speed, because the softer rail tends to hold in the wave a little bit, slow it down a little bit, but that's good for nose riding.
Right, yeah, talk about that a little bit, because a lot of people don't understand, you know, what's going on with those soft rails all the way to the tail. What does that do?
Sure, as the water's going across the bottom of the board and you have a soft rail, the water wants to wrap around that rail and pull the board down. When you have a hard edge board that's really straight and flat across the bottom, it wants to lift up and lift out of the water. So once your board gets too high in the water, it doesn't nose ride as well because you don't have the board set down in the wave. So it's a more kind of forgiving feel board. It's not as racy and maybe not as fast, but it will nose ride better because it's holding the tail down as the water wraps around that soft rail.
And it slows it down a little bit, right? Does it also like kind of hold it into the pocket
the board
as well?
Down, right, because that's the other thing about nose ride. Most of the times you want to outrun the pocket. So this will slow the board down and keep it in the pocket longer.
And this this board that we have here is what size?
9.6. And
what's the width and the thickness on it?
It's 23¼ wide, 3 inches thick. Usually 9.6s are range between 2 7/8 and 3 1/8 inch thick, 3 being the average thickness for one. And the nose is like 19¼ and the tail's 15, where the Ricky Retro has a 19½ inch nose and a 16-inch tail. So it's a full inch narrower on this than the Retro board.
So that's going to just allow the board to be a little bit more maneuverable, right? Get some more curve
in the outline. Exactly. It's not as straight. So a little easier to handle. It's going to be easier to maneuver.
Awesome. So Ricky Retro 1, Ricky Retro 2, which we have right here, and the Ricky Retro 3, and all of Ricky Carroll's boards. If you have any questions on any of the Ricky Carrolls or any of the other boards that we carry here at Real, you can always give us a call at the shop, 252-987-6000, or look us up online, realwatersports.com/surfing. Ricky, thanks for hanging out with us today.
All right.
Go this way. Boom. Thanks for hanging out with us today, and thanks for tuning in.